Om Swastiastu. Hello everyone, welcome back with me, Chyntia Wulandari. In this video, I will continue to read this book. Amusing on Death. If dream, as we have just seen, is merely a little death, or perhaps a daily rehearsal of death, then what of death itself? Is it then simply a very long sleep, an extension of our dream that goes on forever? Or maybe it is the other way round, that which we call life and consciousness is merely a short dream that we are experiencing, and that is the moment when we finally wake up and our life is begin. To be sure, many faith-based religions rest on this premise, that there is an eternal life after we die, that we all go. A life where everything is good and perfect and makes up for all the often senseless sufferings, troubles, and challenges that we humans often face in this temporary life on earth. It is of course an important and for many people a necessary belief based on hope and optimism. For other ways, life can seem at best random and at worst completely meaningless. And who wants to feel that their life is meaningless and that there is no purpose to being born on earth? Still, despite this cheerful and inspiring idea, however, that remains not only a mystery but something most of us fear, or at least not look forward to. We associate the experience of death with loss, tragedy, and when that comes too soon, with a sense of senselessness and injustice. We feel sad when our loved ones die, and although we comfort ourselves that perhaps we might be reunited with them after we die and live happily ever after in eternal togetherness, deep down we are inconsolable. That, especially of those we love, is never a welcome news. And despite our fervent belief in this life after that paradise that awaits us, because of the lack of evidence or report out there provided by those who have died, and then for whatever reason we come back to resume their earthly life, dying remains a black prospect, especially is preceded by illness, suffering, misadventure, and accident. Life is hard, and then you die. Anything to soften that reality seems to be based on wishful thinking. Since death and where we go after our physical body disintegrates, that is, if there is a spirit independent of our physically, is knowledge that is beyond our grasp, a black hole that only reveals its secret when you are sucked into its unfathomable depth. How about we try to look at we call life and death from a different perspective, like looking through the wrong end of a telescope or entering a lace looking glass in her adventures? So that just like in our dreams, what we refer to life to is merely a dream from which we will one day wake up. And what we call that is actually our real condition, but as in our nightly dreams, a world which is rich in infinite possibilities, colors, and adventures, and yet one we forget as soon as we open our eyes in the morning. This current life is not only an illusion and temporary, just as the sages tell us, but more than that. We actually have the means to access that eternal and infinite existence, the so-called life after death that otherwise eludes us while we are still alive, simply by opening that portal or the veil that separates these two states of consciousness. Just like those strange moments we experience sometime when lying in bed towards in the morning and we don't know whether we are awake or asleep, or whether we are dreaming that we are already awake, we might find that veil between this world of our individual and physical consciousness and that of the non-physical is very thin indeed. that in order to have a taste of that eternal life unfettered by the physical body, in other words, life after we physically die, is a matter of mastering navigating between the different dimensions of these worlds. For at the end of the day, what is the state of what we call death, other than the moving of energy into a different dimension, from the world that is visible to our physical eyes to that where no physical eye is needed in order to see, from the dimension of limited senses to one where the senses are unlimited. As with anything, this can be achieved, no doubt, through practice. A good start would be through remembering our dreams as much as possible, and then through a conscious effort of entering that dream world and learning to take part in this dream, the same way as we take part in our waking life, consciously and with lucidity. While the body becomes a vessel with which we travel between the different dimensions, like a wormhole or a time tunnel. Except, of course, in this other dimension, there is no limit to what we can do and achieve, and what we want to be and become. Is this not a true taste of afterlife? That is to say, a life beyond our physicality? A life where we can heal our hearts and end our suffering, a life that is never boring, mundane, or meaningless, but full of fantastic adventures. A dimension where we can move with others being invisible with our normal eyes and from other universes whose existence we can never otherwise know or understand. Surely, the afterlife is nothing like this present life, as otherwise, what is the point? Why encounter again those people who have given us nothing but pains and problems, or recall once more those moments of embarrassments and humiliation that we would have gladly died from? Is it not better to view this life on earth, trapped in our bodies and the three-dimensional world, as short but necessary tasks that we have to endure during our eternal journey, not unlike the regular visit to the dentist we have to put up with in order to keep our teeth healthy? Seen from this perspective, therefore, that instead of a full stop we encounter at the end of life, an obliteration of us as we know it, is nothing but a nightly return to that infinite and vastness of existence which is where we emanate from, while the daily waking up to our everyday ordinary existence is a core, a homework or a lesson we have to learn for a period of time. Although for what purpose this lesson is, it is our task to find out. A calm mind, more on the search of happiness. Our minds race. Our mind is like a monkey that jumps from one branch to another without stopping to see where it's going or why. Our mind is a jumble of images that play havoc with our focus and our emotions. And if we spend a great deal of our time glued to the social media, we can be sure that our mind is a hostage to all sorts of toxic information that often leave us stretched out, exhausted, angry, frustrated, or just plain debilitated from the overload. The state of our mind, therefore, is crucial to our overall well-being as a person. A mind that is constantly disturbed and distracted can only make us feel out of sorts. Too much and too often of this state of mind can leave us physically stressed and prone to illnesses and sufferings. However, happiness, as mentioned before, is also a state of mind. It's also a state of mind. The question is, though, what kind of state of mind? First of all, let's see the different ways in which we generally experience happiness. Perhaps happiness is when we feel pleasurable sensations that arise when a desire or a hope is fulfilled, such as the thrill of getting the present that we wanted for our birthday, the joy of passing an exam, and getting the job or promotion that we have worked hard for, or maybe the excitement of going away on holiday to that dream destination, or the palpitation we feel in our heart when we find ourselves falling in love, and the butterflies we have in our stomach at the sight of the person we have a crush on. In all of these circumstances, however, it is clear that the state of mind we often attribute to happiness is also one that is charged with emotion, like a roller coaster. However, the high of displeasure, sensation, and the spark of excitement or joy that overwhelm us cannot last forever. On the contrary, there are just temporary feelings that will soon subside, however much we try to hold on to them. If anything, our desperate attempt to grasp hold of that special feeling or to repeat that pleasurable sensation will only result in suffering, or at least in a sense of anticlimax or disappointment. It is because of this we seek out more things that can arouse in us those intense and pleasurable sensations that we're convinced will be the source of our happiness.